The ruling All Progressives Congress has once again found itself in another controversy following the October 14 judgment in Yola by a federal high court which nullified the ticket of the party's governorship candidate in Adamawa State, Senator Aishatu Binani, for the 2023 general elections. In the ruling, presiding judge Justice A.M. Anka asked Binani to desist from parading herself as the APC candidate in the state. The judgment and its aftermath will be the focus of the conversation on Daily Politics tonight. Hello and welcome to Daily Politics. I am Hamza Idris. But before we proceed with the topic of the day, some important stories. The presidential candidate of the All Progressive Congress, Bola Ahmed Tinubu, and his running mate Kashim Shettima earlier today met with the Arewa Joint Committee, a coalition of leaders from the northern Nigeria, for an interactive session. The meeting forms part of wider interactions with selected presidential candidates to discuss their plans for the region ahead of the 2023 general elections. Tinubu's meeting with the group comes 2 days after his opponent in the People's Democratic Party, Atiku Abubakar, engaged in a similar interaction. Also, presidential candidate of the Labour Party, Peter Obi, has addressed the northern leaders today. Elsewhere, the Zamfara state government has shut down the offices of NTA, Pride FM, Gamji TV, and Al Ummah TV in the state, reportedly for covering the political gatherings of the PDP governorship candidate Dauda Lawan. The decision was announced on the state radio on Saturday evening by the State Commissioner for Information, Ibrahim Dosara. Well, joining us to discuss our main topic and some of these revolving issues, we have Ahmed Sajo with us in the studio. He's a former Commissioner for Information and Strategy in Adamawa State. We are also joined virtually by Dr. Umar Arro. He's the governorship candidate of the Social Democratic Party in Adamawa State. He joins us from Yola. Welcome, gentlemen.
Thank you very much.
Good. Well, maybe I should start with you, Mr. Sajo. You've seen what's happened in Kaduna
and
today.
And Zamfara.
Yes, maybe we should start with Kaduna. It's a joint committee. This is the first time we're hearing this name, even though there's certain groups like Arewa Consultative Forum, Northern Elders Forum, Jam'iyyar Matan Arewa, among others. They coalesce into a force to now engage some of these candidates. What is your take on this?
I am not in any way impressed. I am not bothered because at this point in time, we should be moving away from our provincialism. We should begin to talk about Nigeria as a nation. You see, because we are becoming increasingly provincial, that's why even our candidates and our leadership are talking to us in a provincial manner. People are campaigning based on either their ethnic group or their region of citizenship and things like that. I think it's unnecessary. What the issues that affect all of us are the same, except that the magnitude differ. Okay. I expect anybody talking about Arewa to not just engage a presidential candidate in one closed-door meeting, but to come out openly and tell them that, look, anywhere you go to campaign, tell us in practical terms, what are you going to do about the excessive poverty in northern Nigeria? What are you going to do about the excessive insecurity in northern Nigeria? What are you going to do about the social cohesion that has broken down in northern Nigeria? What are you going to do about street children in northern Nigeria? What are you going to do about poor agriculture that is exacerbated by the fact that bandits and insurgents don't allow us to go to our farms? What are you doing about commerce? Our people's livelihood is going from one market to the other market on market days. Now they cannot go because of insecurity. These are the issues that are bedeviling Arewa. And There are also the same issues that are affecting other areas, but in different magnitudes. But ours is higher. We have the highest incident of poverty. We have the highest incident of insecurity. We have the highest incident of infant and maternal mortality.
Yeah.
We have the highest number of out-of-school children. So these are the issues. These issues do not require any closed door.
Okay,
They should be put on table in the open so that we can begin to tick our boxes. Does this man, is he making sense with respect to this? This is what are the things he is saying. Will they actually get rid of this problem that we have, these issues? So this is what we are looking for. I think, we must begin to interrogate some of these closed-door meetings that we are holding all over.
You call them provincial. Dr. Ardo,
it's adding more to our provincialism.
Let me see if you hear us. Dr. Ardo, what is your take on the Kaduna meeting today? You out us? Yes, I said,
Hello?
What is your take on the Kaduna engagement of northern elders with presidential candidates?
Okay, well, for me, politics encompasses everything. Basically, people have their own interests, and these interests, they come in different forms. They can come in terms of sectional interests, in terms of professional interests, gender interests, all sorts of interests. So there is nothing wrong if defend its interest or to advance its interest. But if the advancement of this interest is to the detriment of a larger interest, that is where the problem is. So I have no objection whatsoever with what happened in Kaduna. If it will, at the end of the day, coalesce into the projection of our national interest, so be it. So, and actually, this start now, it has always been like this. That's how our politics.
Yeah, it appears the network is not favorable to us, but we will get back to you. Yes, Malam Sajo, do you think that this group of people that are calling on the presidential candidates to come and explain to them what they will offer, do you think they have the capacity to influence voters' decision?
Do you know the first formula of failure?
Yeah.
Is doing the same thing, without achieving any different result.
How?
We've been doing this, just like my brother, Dr. Omar Ardo said.
Yeah.
We've been doing it. These are methods that the politicians have used since our independence. These methods have not in any way significantly changed the narrative of our country. It has not improved our lives. These people that are gathering in Kaduna, and anywhere and elsewhere, these people are not the real influencers of the voting population today. They're living in the past. Things have changed. The parameters for determining...
But how do you mean? These are people, Ango Abdullahi, Dr. Hakim Baba Ahmed...
I am telling you, these are people who have...
They're all part of the groups.
Who do not control the voting population any longer. Okay. We all have our own time, my brother. Okay. Even in our profession now, the veterans of old, they have given way to new people. The new influencers now in the medias, for example, are totally different people. Life is like that. You play your own part. It's like a stage. You play your own part, then you go back to the dressing room. Some new other people come in. Now, the parameters for determining political leadership in this country have changed. We have become too transactional.
Okay.
That anybody who does not have money finds it very difficult to even reach out to anybody today in Nigeria of today. We have become too parochial. Everybody thinks that, his interests, he's under siege by other groups. So he begins to become more and more provincial and parochial, looking up to the religion.
Don't you think these elders? Don't you think these elders will set the pace by asking questions, so that when the candidates now respond to some of these questions, people will now dissect through?
They go to us. When they come to you, look. I am telling you, when it came to the conventions of the parties, did you see influential figures determining the outcome? The outcome was determined by a different set of rules. The political rules have changed in this country. We either begin to face the situation squarely and begin to interrogate it and begin to ask questions with respect to the transactional nature of our politics,
or we remain in one place.
Or we remain where we are.
Dr. Ardo, if you can hear me, okay, we still have some issues there. So the next question I wanted to ask you is, you can see there, PRP candidate was there in Kaduna, Abiola. Then Peter Obi was also there, apart from Tinubu and then Atiku. Meaning you have like a clearer representation of candidates from both South and North. Do you think these elders will make a choice from among these candidates?
I understand that is the game plan, to just decide and say, we've chosen Mr. A to be the consensus candidate of the North. And I think that will be the biggest disaster the North will encounter.
How? But you have to take position. Because you can't sit on the fence.
In the first no. We're not asking anybody to sit on the fence. Please allow the Northern people make their choices.
Who are the Northern people?
The electorates in the North.
But they need somebody to guide them.
They need their parties to guide them. They need their party structures to guide them. They need different what Two years. All we are is a country. We've not evolved as a nation. We've evolved as a Arewa value, a southern value. You are not shared. You don't have a shared value. You don't have shared vision. You don't have, and that is what a nation is. And if you don't have a national platform, if you are not a nation, you cannot even begin to develop.
But if you follow the conversation, almost all the candidates, Peter Obi, Abiola, Atiku, Tinubu, they all spoke along the line of nationalism, promising to unite the country. Do you trust them?
How do you unite the country from a provincial and a regional platform? It's not possible, my brother. Unite the country. Go out there. Talk to the people, convince the ordinary voters that you have a plan. The man whose child has been kidnapped by bandits is not the Northern Elders group there. It's not the coalition that is meeting there. He is the one that is concerned.
Nigerians believe that you have to start somewhere. Maybe with this consultation, now it's a long election cycle.
You are starting somewhere. The starting point, they told them, is to go and meet the electorate. I am for the electorate to decide. I am not for electorates to be herded like animals to the slaughter. We need to take our own decisions ourselves. And those decisions should be taken by us based on the fact that the people who are looking for our leadership can rise above provincialism. One of our biggest setback is provincialism in our leaders. Second is transactional politics, where young people on the day of election will carry leaves and put on their heads, telling you that they are for sale. This is the low we have reached.
But there are some people who we invited for various discussions, not necessarily here, that said some of these things that are happening is like they will rejuvenate our perception about democracy, because during the First Republic, the leaders they had their identity. Ahmadu Bello APC from the north, you have Awolowo from the southwest, you have Nnamdi Azikiwe from the southeast, and they were able to now stand out to say, okay, I am from here, but I am a Nigerian, and
we were operating a near true Republican constitution.
That time.
That time. It is the system. Do not make the mistake that, look, it doesn't matter whether you cook your food in an earth pot or you cook it in a glass pot.
Yeah.
What matters is that if you put the right ingredients, you will get the taste.
Okay.
So what the basic norm, the grand norm, the Constitution of the Federal Republic of Nigeria is not federal enough. We had a federal constitution where the regions were allowed to a large extent to compete on the basis of everybody understanding what was their own. Here we are with a constitution that is very unitary, that says everything that stems from Abuja should be applied by everybody across board.
And it's not working.
And it's not working.
Some of them are calling for restructuring, even though I don't want us to go deep into that.
If you are addressing these issues, you have to look at the condition under which we are operating. This is our system presently. And it's that condition that we must begin to address, not for our leaders to coalesce themselves in different regional and provincial platforms. It doesn't work. You're talking Arewa today. Even within the Arewa, our most important challenge is how do we ensure that the social harmony that Ahmadu Bello and co established in the north, what can we do to return that social harmony? Because there are deep-rooted suspicions, mistrust, within Arewa, with some people saying they are middle belt, some people saying they are far north, some people saying this. Are we talking, have they met at any point in time to say, look, let's raise a team. Let's begin to go to our communities and reconnect with our people and begin to make them understand.
Yeah.
You cannot work under a system that is totally disconnected. There's a disconnect. Even government is disconnected from the citizens.
Okay, finally on this, the candidate of NNPP, Konkoso, said he will not be part of these meetings in Kaduna. Do you think he's sounding rebellious, and will it affect the credibility of what these people are doing, in a word or two?
I think he has a right. Those that went, the problem with leadership is like going after a woman you want to marry. Whenever you meet the in-laws, you bend down and greet them, and so that you still continue to remain in the good books of the in-laws. Doesn't necessarily mean that when you marry the wife, you will treat her with the kind of respect you are giving the in-laws at the time.
So maybe if other groups invite him, he will own.
He may go. He may just decide. And I think he has a right to decide to either go or not to go. Okay. Don't forget, he's an Arewa person.
Okay, finally,
so he understands these people better.
Our other tidbit was on Zamfara, how the governor should, some broadcast stations there. Do you think we will keep having some of these things across the states?
No, I think it's the weakness of governance at all levels in this country that is increasing the level of impunity in the leadership class. There are laws that control the running of the media generally and the broadcast stations. The National Broadcasting Commission is the only agency of government responsible.
And it waded in yesterday.
Responsible for anything to do with a breach of broadcast code. The Zamfara state government that has a commissioner that I highly respect as a media person should have advised his governor instead of closing down. I had a similar situation when I was commissioner, but I had told my governor, as a professional,
let's go to NBC.
Let's do the most professional of things. I've had situations like this twice when I was chief press secretary and when I was commissioner. And I know what I told I cannot compromise my professional competence because a governor says do it for political expediency.
All right, thank you
I think
very
it was
much.
very wrong.
Thank you.
And the next time any state government or any person in Nigeria who feels not too happy with the actions and activities of a broadcast station should report them to NBC. We have, at NBC, they have means of taking care of such situations.
Thank you very much, Mr. Sergio. Well, viewers, this is how far we can go on these two very important issues. We will take a short break now. When we return, the discussion of the day commences. Adamawa Politics. Stay tuned.
Trust TV, documenting the Nigerian story.
Nigerians, elections are here again. Let us shun violence. Let us play the game according to the rules. Do not be a thug. Say no to violence. Let's rise and defeat violence, crime, and sabotage against the peace of our nation. Nigeria is the only country we have. We must do everything to keep it united. We must avoid any act that promotes hate and disintegration. Say no to separatist movement, terrorism, fake news, hate speech, religious bigotry, and any act that tends to divide us as a nation. Watch out for strange gatherings and suspicious movements. Restrict access to sensitive documents and data, the disclosure of which may damage national security. Educate your staff and family, particularly on measures to safeguard information and report security breaches. Apply relevant legal security guidelines to protect yourself and your neighbors. Due to misinformation and wrong choices, some idle persons resort to vices in their greed to get rich quick. They resort to kidnapping, killings for rituals, and other heinous crimes. Avoid wrong use of the social media. Before you broadcast that false message, think twice. Ask whether it will promote peace or violence. For safety at home, still be security conscious. Educate your household on safety tips. Report all suspicious movements and persons to the security agencies nearest to you. Be a good citizen. Be patriotic. To pass security information, please call 0813-222-2105, 0915-339-1309, 0908-837-3514, or send a mail to dsspr@dss.gov.ng. This message is from the Department of State Services, DSS.
If you are just joining us, this is Daily Politics on Trust TV. Remember, you can follow the conversation on our various social platforms on Facebook, Instagram, and watch us live on YouTube. Our topic of discussion, Adamawa Politics. And we are joined via phone by Dr. Raymond Chidama. He is the Secretary of APC in Adamawa State. Dr. Raymond, if you are with me, just last week, the High Court in Yola nullified the election of Binani as the gubernatorial candidate of the All Progressives Congress, your party. How did you receive that news?
We received the news with a lot of shock and with a mixed feeling. Okay. We didn't expect it, but it happened.
Now, when it happened, how was your reaction? I mean, members in the state, how did they react, including the candidates?
Well, the members of our political party were dumbfounded. And not only members of APC, the entire state that Friday, as if there is a serious death in Adamawa State.
Okay.
Everywhere there is silence. So it wasn't an easy thing here in Adamawa State on that Friday.
Okay. Do you think it was an unfair judgment as a party?
The judgment was a miscarriage of justice. It was not fair because the premises where the judgment was made was highly biased. The provisions of the law made it clear as the only condition where political party cannot field a candidate. In our own case, we made the two mandatory conditions. One, we had our Congress, and candidate emerged. In this case, it was Binani. We all celebrated. And then the other thing is for us to submit a name 180 days, not earlier than 180 days before the general election, which we did. So ordinarily, if there was anything that went wrong, what is required is for us to have a fresh election.
Yeah.
But we were surprised the man denied it.
Yeah. Well, you see, Justice Anka said you violated Section 51 of the Electoral Act, and I want to quote some of the sections. 51 subsection 1 said, no voter shall vote for more than one candidate or record more than one vote in favor of any candidate at any one election. Now, subsection 2 says, where the number of votes cast at an election in any polling unit exceeds the number of accredited voters in that polling unit, the presiding officer shall cancel the results of the election in that polling unit. And finally, it says, where the result of an election is cancelled in accordance with subsection 2, there shall be no return for the election until another poll has taken place in the affected unit. Now, do you agree that you violated Section 51 of the Electoral Act?
According to him, there was overvoting.
Yes.
That section says where you find a case of overvoting, after cancellation, a fresh election is to be ordered.
Yes.
If you read down, it is clearly stated.
Yeah.
Once you cancel the election, you order for a fresh election.
Yeah.
And so we expected if actually he found us wanting in that section, that we violated Section 51, what he would have done was that he nullified the election and then placed order for a fresh election.
Yeah.
But there was a prayer to that effect, but he refused.
Okay. Yes, Doctor. Do you think that it is now over for you, or you are still hoping that an order will be given for you to conduct another election?
Yes, just like I said, we have a constitutional mandate to present a candidate for the election. So these provisions are provided because it is human beings that will do these things. Why law need to come in is that when such anomalies happen, so that fresh election can take place, so that there will be no ambiguity at all.
Yeah.
So as far as we are concerned, we are proceeding to the appeal court, and we are sure the appeal court will grant us that audience and other order to go and conduct a fresh primary election for gubernatorial election, if at all the findings on that judgment is true.
Okay, well, another issue raised by Justice Anka was that in one of the local government areas, about 50 delegates were not really elected, and you allowed them to participate in the primary election. What happened in that local government area?
As far as we are concerned as a party, we had all the 21 local government areas of the state, we had special congresses.
Okay.
And we submitted our report to the INEC and to the national headquarters.
Okay.
And so the list was brought back to us, and that was the list that we used to conduct the primaries. It's true, on the day of election, that was the only time that INEC brought to our notice that they did not witness a congress in Lamuri local government.
Yeah, in Lamuri, yeah.
Yes, the commissioner spoke to me in person, the INEC, the regional electoral commissioner.
Yes.
I gathered all the candidates, aspirants, 6 of them that time. And I also spoke to those that came from Abuja to conduct the primary.
Mm.
And so, you know, there was even a prior judgment on that is an internal party democracy thing. So he shouldn't have based his judgment on that to refuse us to conduct another primary.
Okay.
Assuming that area was faulted, it cannot be a reason why we cannot go and conduct a fresh primary.
Mm. Now,
yes,
there is a dilemma, because the timetable, if you look at the timetable of events released by INEC, they have foreclosed replacement, you know, another election and all that. Have you contacted them before you proceeded to the Court of Appeal?
No, the INEC will definitely obey any court order that comes from a court of competent jurisdiction.
Okay.
If you can even recall, recently our sister state, Taraba State, had their primary election cancelled.
Mm.
And a similar court of similar jurisdiction ordered a fresh primary election for that state, knowing fully that when that fresh election is conducted, the INEC will still receive the name of the candidates that wins the primaries. INEC guideline does not supersede electoral guideline or Nigerian constitution.
Okay. So if I understand what you are saying, you are hopeful of having another primaries. But are you in touch with all the candidates?
We are sure, not hopeful, we are sure.
Okay, are you in touch with all the candidates, Binani, Ribadu, Namdas, and all that?
Yeah, we are in touch with them. We are assuring them, assuming, for example, Binani, who is the principal actor, Malanu, who is also a principal actor, decide to go to court. Concurrently, we are also going to court as a party.
Okay. Well, finally, from here, you are going to face, ultimately, if you win at the Court of Appeal, you are going to confront a sitting governor among other candidates like Umar Ardo, who is part of this program. How prepared are you to face these candidates?
We are fully prepared. If you could recall, in 2019, it was an internal wrangling similar to this that gave the election to the opposition candidate.
Yeah.
APC is the party in Adamawa State, and so at the appropriate time, even if it is 30 days to the general election that we eventually hold our primaries and have our candidate, I can assure you we are going to win the general election, and the APC will return as a governing party in Adamawa State.
Thank you very much, Dr. Raymond Chidama. We really thank you for joining us, and we hope we have you as the litigation continues. Thank you.
Thank you, sir.
Back to the studio. Yes, you have heard what the secretary of
The party in the
the
state.
party in the
Yes.
state. They are up a bit. You are also from Adamawa State. What do you think really happened that led to the, dismantling of the PDP? I mean APC.
I think
election.
in one word is failure of leadership at all levels.
Okay.
One word, failure of leadership.
How? If you say failure of leadership.
Very good.
because-
You see, all these issues upon which the judgment was passed were canvassed at the level of leadership,
Okay.
but they were not treated dispassionately as they should be treated. They were not treated honestly as they should be treated. They were not treated with fairness and justice as they should be treated at the level of the party. If you look at the judgment is not an indictment of Binani as a candidate. It's not an indictment of Nuhu as a challenger. It's not an indictment of Namdas and Co that participated. It was an indictment of the process, not the persons. And who was responsible for pretending over the process?
Party leadership.
Party leadership.
But-
So if the failure is of a process, then whoever's pretended over that process must take responsibility. That is number one. Number two, the people of Adamawa State, have been really faithful to the APC. That this is not the way APC as a party should repay back their members. The history of political parties in Nigeria is that when a party loses power, the members of the party leave that party in droves and go to the ruling party.
Yes.
Members of APC in Adamawa State must be commended because they remained steadfast and loyal to the party to this level, hoping that the internal wranglings of 2019 that made them lose the government house would have been solved by our leaders, and then, things will move forward.
But you see,
that did not happen.
But you see, Ribadu said 1,009 delegates were accredited, contrary to the outcome, which indicated that a total of 1,011, just 2 votes.
No, what
Don't
happened?
you think that it is the internal
What happened?
wrangling that
No,
maybe...
it wasn't even, in that case, it wasn't even an internal wrangling. It was the manner of the accreditation. That's why I'm trying to tell you that it's the process that failed us.
Okay.
It's not the individuals, it's the process that failed us. The accreditation was such that 4 people were improperly accredited or not accredited.
And they were allowed to vote.
And they were either allowed to vote or disallowed to vote. Whichever happened resulted in the extra 2 people. If they were accredited and not recorded but allowed to vote, definitely it will overshoot.
Yeah.
If they were improperly accredited and were not allowed to vote, definitely it will affect the outcome.
Yes.
So in the end, what happened was that the process was not as open and as transparent as it should be. And so the court ruling, if you read the judgment very deeply, the court ruling faulted the process. Now, in the case of the Lamorde delegates,
Yes.
there was an argument before the start of the Congress
Okay. That
as
will
to
bring-
whether to admit Lamorde delegates
the
or
election,
not to admit them.
Okay.
Now, normally, a normal human situation demands that when you are in doubt,
You leave it.
go for caution. There was nothing wrong in pacifying the Lamorde delegates and asking them that
They
because
should
there's a
recourse
dispute,
themselves. Yeah.
recourse yourself because there's a dispute.
Yes.
With respect of your list. But everyone, the leadership, and to some extent even the candidate, had already invested in some of those Lamorde people. So they don't want them
To be excused.
excused.
Meaning
So
they showed themselves to greater extent.
this is, but if we had a leadership that was firm and strong, both at national and at local,
Yeah.
that leadership would have simply said, look, Lamorde, please
Excuse yourself.
excuse yourselves for this reason. We were not privy, like the secretary said, they were not privy of INEC report. We were not privy of INEC report, but now we are privy of INEC
Yes.
report.
So don't cause damage.
Don't cause damage to the process. We would have been safe.
But
There would have even been no overvoting, probably.
Yeah, well, without prejudice to the judgment, we'll not go deep into the technicalities of the Justice Anka's verdict, but I still want to ask this question that based on the provision of the Electoral Act, that, okay, if maybe the contentious votes, you know, this is what the Act said, if it will not significantly affect the larger picture of it, you
Exactly.
can now...
Exactly. No, they know.
You can remove
Anka
them
knows,
and then
Anka
go
knows
ahead with...
this.
Yes.
I said this in one of the radio stations, TV stations, and they would say that I was doing contempt, but it's not contempt.
It's not contempt, obviously, yeah.
What I am saying
We
is
say without
that
prejudice to what the judge said,
the
yeah.
court of law in Nigeria should not be arrogantly narrowing the choices available to citizens.
Okay.
By foreclosing that APC would not have a candidate, they have narrowed the
It
choice.
was an overshoot.
Yeah, because even if we say who committed the offense, some leaders of the party. So because of the misdemeanor of a few persons, you are punishing the entire membership of the party in the state, and by extension, punishing the entire citizens of the state who felt that it is APC they want to invest their future to. I think, you know, it was an overkill. It was too harsh and too high-handed.
But still on the candidates, some people are arguing that the likes of Ribadu, this is a woman, without, you know, really reducing her esteem, who did so well to defeat, you know, a former governor, Fintiri, right? A member of the House of Reps, Namdas, Ribadu, former EFCC, and two other people. They expected that they should be magnanimous since it is an internal party thing. Because assuming Ribadu did not go to court, we wouldn't have gotten to where.
Yeah,
why do you think he went to court? Is it
I
to
agree with
strengthen
you.
electoral process?
As far as, well, if you ask me, you know, the only reason under which Malanu Ribadu could go to court, you know, is probably his conviction that the right things should be done.
Okay.
This you know about him as a
Yeah,
person.
as an anti-corruption
Something,
crusader, yeah.
something like that. But again, in retrospect, I don't think even he expected that they would say there would be no more, no candidate for APC. I think that in doing that, he has also overshot. But coming to your earlier addition, you know, we're beginning to succeed in entrenching one culture in this country, that performance is key. The gender is not the agenda. It's the performance that is the agenda. And this woman, whether you like her or you don't like her, she has performed. I am telling you, if you see the level of jubilation in other opposition parties.
But she was underrated earlier because they are calling her this woman or one matter or something like that.
Matanang was supposed to be
yes.
a derogatory statement, but
Yes.
it became a rallying message.
Okay.
And I tell you, come this Wednesday, you will see what will happen. Women have risen. In fact, to the extent that the government in power abandoned a sitting deputy governor to pick a woman because of the understanding that women.
What will happen on
mobilized.
Wednesday?
On Wednesday, women will rise up and march around the streets saying enough of.
But Justice Anka said that she should never parade herself.
She's not parading herself as a candidate.
It is working solidarity.
Women are going to say they are aggrieved. In fact, they are not the only ones. Tubalin Talen, the Minister of Women Affairs.
Yes, that
has
is what,
spoken.
because if Pauline Talent described the judgment as a kangaroo.
We can say that. No. You see, as a system survives when there is respect for institutions of state.
Okay.
The court is a competent court of law. The judge is a competent judge, you know, appointed by the authorities of the Federal Republic of Nigeria. if he passes a judgment that we are not satisfied with, I am not satisfied with, many of us are not satisfied with, yes, he has passed his judgment, we are not satisfied with the judgment, but we cannot denigrate the institution of the law. That is key. Then secondly, women, we're looking forward to a vibrant campaign by a woman. Win or lose, Aissatou Binani was willing to give the position a shot that could only be equaled by what late Maman Taraba, her namesake, did. Yes. So for this, it represented a glimmer of hope for Nigerian women. Not only Nigerian women, even for you, for me. It meant if Aisha Binani makes it, means your daughter can make it, your sister can make it, your wife can make it. So women are looking forward to breaking the glass ceiling. Yeah. And this woman represented the hope for them to break the glass ceiling. So for them to feel the way they felt, I believe they have a right to feel that way. But, hey, let's put the brakes. We cannot, for that, denigrate an institution as important as a court of law.
But we learned that she didn't reach out extensively to the other candidates, and this might have aggravated her travels.
This is politics. Anybody can say whatever he says. If I contest an election with you and you take me to court, what reach out are you looking out from me?
There is settling out of court.
Settling out of court.
Many people, after they get to even Supreme Court, but later they now withdraw.
Many people, including, of course, the candidate. In fact, after the nomination process, I understand that the first place Aissatou Binani visited was Nuhu Ribadu's house.
Okay.
Immediately after the
But maybe,
nomination.
as you rightly said, he wanted to strengthen.
All I am saying is that
most likely
they have all done this because they were given a leeway by the party leadership to do it. And then at a certain point, they were all party men. The party is supreme. The party could have called all of them to sit down in one place and say, look, let's iron this out. But again, how much of the ironing are you going to do if you are not perceived as being neutral, quote and unquote? Yeah. So these are all the issues that are surrounding these things. My worry is that for Anka to assume, Justice Anka to assume that APC will go into 2023 in Adamawa State without a candidate, that is monumentally disastrous. Okay. That is the disastrous part of the judgment. He should have stopped at saying he has nullified, like they did in Taraba.
Go and get your acts right.
Acts right. That's number one. Number two, for anybody to start telling you that there is no time for substitution, it's not true. There is a window of substitution.
Like the secretary said,
on so many other issues. What if a candidate dies? We're human.
You have to replace him.
You have to replace the candidate.
But
what if a candidate decides at a point, I am not going to participate?
I have this concern. It's like most actors and the political parties are yet to come to terms with the new provisions in the Electoral Act. Is it that they don't really give time to study some of these new laws so that they will escape the banana peels?
Do you know what they used to tell us?
No.
Very derogatory, very bad, but it's true. If you want to hide something from an African, put it in a book.
But I think they are learning the hard way now.
Exactly. We don't read. How many of us have read the Electoral Act? The new constitution, the APC amended its constitution at the convention that elected Abdoulaye Adamu. Some of the members who were part of the process did not even know provisions in the amended constitution of the APC until a situation arose that some of us had to raise their attention to draw their attention to some of the changes that have been made in the constitution. We don't normally read in this country, and it's affecting us very adversely. But the truth about it is that the Electoral Act is it's been passed in such a manner that it can safeguard democratic ideals. Okay. But don't forget, there are some of us in the political cycles, the political actors, there are some of us that have refused to live in the present.
And you want, maybe you should advise them.
They're still living in the past.
Yeah, and this is what is causing a lot of problems. Not only to the APC, but all the political parties.
All the political parties.
Thank you very much, Ahmed Sajo, former Commissioner Adamawa State, for your expert opinion on happenings in Adamawa, what happened in Kaduna, and what is happening in Zamfara State. We thank you for coming to the program. Because this is where we come to the end of the program. But before we go, this is to thank Omar Addo, who briefly joined us from Adamawa via Zoom, and Dr. Raymond Chidama, Secretary of APC in Adamawa State. We hope you enjoyed the program today and hoping that you will be with us tomorrow for another interesting edition of the program. For now, bye-bye. I'm Hamza Idris.